Hi, welcome to Rajal Night. In this today video, we are discussing about different templates we use in reference to the Jira tool. Because as you all know, that Jira is in project management tracking tool, which will be used majorly to update all the roadmaps, product backlogs, all that. Not only that, there is some document sharing which is also required in the field of agile environment, especially to interact with teams, all that stuff. So for that, Confluence is one kind of tool which usually we connect with Jira, wherein this Confluence is being used to share documents, means whatever the documentation required. So either it could be some product requirements or whatever the meeting we have conducted, updating the meetings, all that information has to be updated. So in regard to that, there are different templates will be used in Confluence, especially in the field of agile environment players. Hence, of course, there are different templates for different things. Either you can see the requirements, something relating to product management will be as separate. Even if you want to work on something relating to HR and all, the templates will be as separate. When we are working on application development in reference to the AWS architecture diagrams itself is concerned were separate. At the same time, if you would like to know about the kind of capacity planning among the team whenever we are assigning a task to them. So capacity planning, change management, competitive analysis, different templates are available under Confluence, which will make our work more easier. So hence, what is that I am doing is that I am going to take, today I am going to take about the kind of template what we are going to use in reference to the DevOps runbook itself is concerned, because this DevOps runbook is the one which majorly used in the application development, because in the field of application development, whenever we are working on agile, earlier traditional teams as well as development teams as well as operations teams used to work as separate. But after that, the situation has turned in such a way where development and operation teams must work on the same platform, so that whatever the changes you want to make into the existing ones, the kind of updations you want to do, everything will become much easier. So for that reason, usually this DevOps is an environment we are using nowadays in the field of IT. Of course, DevOps is an environment. I can say DevOps is not a technology. It's DevOps is an environment to enhance and to work on this environment. We may require to use different tools like Jenkins, Kubernetes, Ansible, Negois, all that. But whenever we are working on the DevOps environment, which is something integrating with Agile environment, DevOps runbook is what we have to use, especially in the field of application. So in this Confluence, as I told you, there are a lot of templates are available. So one of the template is called Devops Runbook. So click on use. Here you have to mention about the project title, whichever the project you are working on. So the project title name has to be mentioned here, usually name of the project, followed by this, whatever the runbook we have. So the runbook name followed by the kind of description we are working on the DevOps environment. So that runbook name followed by the description has to be updated. Followed by that, whoever is maintaining this runbook, there is an owner, means who is preparing this document, I can say, right? So those document details and all, everything will be mentioned here. Followed by this, in which application, what version are we using, or which version are we working on. So that information you have to mention under the version, followed by the date. At the same time, if you want to write down any kind of table of contents in connect to that, you can see that there is an option called table of contents. There are different tables we have, right? So different table of contents can be used here, right? So wherein if you want to edit And if you want to write something, you can click on edit here. So here you need to update, right? Either it could be a vertical list or an horizontal list. So that has to be selected. Based on the selection, what we have done. So we need to identify these and we need to update these accordingly. This is what generally this table of contents and all everything are being used here. At the same time, if you want to insert any kind of roles or if you want to delete columns or something of that sort, all these things will be used for the cell options on that. So not only that, in reference to the environment, what is that we are talking about? Here we can insert some chart because whenever we are working on this project, there are some visual representations which are essentially required sometimes to integrate with. This is where generally this insert chart will come into picture so that you can click on insert chart. And whatever the chart preparations we have made so far, that chart has to be can be updated here subsequently by the team based upon the changes we have made, all that stuff. At the same time, if you want to connect and manage the connected data, what we are using for integration purposes and all, right? So any connection of data has to be managed, all that. So that will be used here as managed connections. So this is important because inserting the chart itself is important because whatever the charts we have prepared, right? So at the same time, the chart options, right? So if you want to have a bar graph, right? So we can select, or else if you want to go for a line graph and all, we can select line graph or else pie graph, all that stuff, right? So this is how it looks like, right? So graphs can be prepared. So based upon the inputs, what we have given. At the same time, we have to provide a runbook name here, as in, for example, as we have given as column 2, where we can see the aggregated data, right? So we have enabled it. Of course, we have not used any data assets so that you don't see any chart here over here. But I'm just saying, right? So based upon the data, what is that we have given, this chart will be prepared automatically. This gives us a visual representation over the work, what is that we are performing. Apart from the runbook name details, all that which is that we have mentioned here so far. Followed by this, if you want to confirm that, right? So you have to prepare this. Next is about architecture, because whatever the high level architecture diagrams we prepare in connect to the integration of the product, what you are developing, whatever the product we are developing and all. So that is what generally we have to use it. So this is where generally high level architectural diagrams has to prepare. Usually architects will prepare high level architecture diagrams and connect to the solutions what we are developing, what you are developing, all that. So this architecture information will be provided by an architects. Usually those are the people who will be providing us the information. Subsequently, that information has to be updated under the architecture part. Apart from that, if there is any kind of support context we have, something relating to the expert levels of expertise we have. So expertise level followed by the kind of team that level consists of. For example, if there is a level 1 of expertise we have taken, who are the members are available on the team and who are there, what are those details, names, right? So followed by the contact details, because when there is any production support or any changes to be made or any updations to be made, we should be able in a position to update these in equal intervals. That's what we have to do. In that context, generally this contact inflows, all these are being used for that purposes. At the same time, level 2, level 3, right? So because there are levels of support which can be, right? So first level 1 people will be taken care of it. Level 2, 3, 3 to 1, like. So what are the levels of expertise? So based on the level of expertise, if there is any kind of production supports or support relating to the queries which was raised by the team and all everything will be taken care of accordingly. That's what generally the support contacts all that. At the same time, you can see there is an option where we can create the support contacts where we, if you want, you can change out of it. At the same time, whatever the runbook automations we want to list out, because we need to list out the operation tasks, what we are performing. Either it could be something as a, as you can see, right? So database backup, or it could be something relating to user interface changes or something of that sort, whatever the routine operation tasks, which are comes under the runbook of DevOps environment. So that information has to be updated under the name column, followed by the state. State means status of the present uh, task what we have taken, right? So whether the task was completed successfully or do we see any kind of errors in that? So that state has to be mentioned. Followed by this, we need to mention about the start date and completed. So when is this going to start and when this is to be completed? Followed by this, we have to mention about the duration part here equally. This is where generally this runs comes into picture. And at the same time, if you want to write any kind of comments in connect to this, right? So if team wants to write any kind of comments, here you can see, right? So Rajesh and Purti, right? So this is what I have was open. If I want to write some comments and all, wherein I can write some comments. Let's say, for example, of course, I am not writing anything, just I'm showing you. Right? So wherein I can see there are some comments which was written by me, right? So in connect to the whatever the options we have taken. So that options you can see, right? So that options you can see, and if you want to have any kind of comments in that, you can write them here. Subsequently, we can write them the comments. Not only comments, after that we need to mention about the procedures, what is that we are going to follow, the kind of procedures to start the work or to stop it, or the kind of procedures which has to be monitored as well as debugging the systems, or the procedures which are majorly used to anticipate the scenarios. So all the stepwise instructions has to be provided subsequently here, wherein we need to mention about the execution location, run environments, run conditions, documentations. All that information has to be updated subsequently here. This is where this process information, because make sure what are the steps and procedures team has decided when they are working on the environment. So that information has to be updated under this template of DevOps Run. So once it is done, so once we have completed the location, right? So whenever the run environment, because under which environment this procedure is running, right? So there are some path settings and all everything we used to do, and we need to run the environment under which run conditions these were existed, and if there is any kind of documentation we have prepared, for example, right? Any documentation we have prepared of that sort. So the documentation can also be added to the existing process so that it will be more easier for the team to go through all that. So once it is done, you can see there is an option called publish. You can see here, for example, POS DevOps, right? So this is what I was giving. You can see here, right? So whenever I have given the project, once the information we have completed, you can click on publish. So whenever published, the advantage is that this will be published in the Confluence, which is connecting to Jira. Whoever are the members is involving in the project, everybody can see about the documentation which was there, and this documentation can also be used as an attachment for the people to work with. So this is how generally this DevOps runbook and all everything is being used. This is one template which normally we use whenever we are integrating with agile and DevOps combinations and all. This is one kind of runbook which normally we use and team will prepare as a part of Confluence documentation is on them. So if you have any questions in regard to that, and if you have any queries in regard to this, please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.